What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here today to once again, it's that time of the month, talk about Gemrate data. And boy, oh boy, February, that's a shorter month. There's less days in February. Does not stop the hobby and the Pokemon and Charizards and the grading companies from churning out plastic slabs encasing photos of men, women, and dinosaurs that spit fire. Wild times in the cardboard world. Let's run through these real quick. We'll look at the big four, and then as Gemrate does, we will look at the Emergent graders, Tag Arena Club, and rest in peace, HGA. Yes, HGA stays on the list as a permanent reminder of what could possibly go wrong. I've also got requests to please leave the HGA RIP on the tracker for perpetuity, so I will honor said requests. PSA, 1.44 million cards in a short month, up 11% month over month is wild stuff. Gemrate does note on the side there the number of business days. There was less business days in February, yet more output happened. CGC in second place, 287,000. SGC just under 150. And then our good old friends Beckett down there at 53,000. Down over the month, down 20% year over year. PSA up year over year. CGC way up year over year. SGC flat year over year. Sports, PSA comes in number one, not surprising, just under 700,000. SGC at 142,000. Those are really your two dominant players in the sports card category. CGC puts up big numbers, but a lot of it's TCG. Beckett, 23,000, down 22% month over month and 32% year over year. Yikes. They got a little bit of a bump up over the holidays, and that we'll see how things go to start 2024 or 2025 rather. But rough start here in February with a pretty big drop down as we move further into 2025. The TCG numbers, I did a full video on this over on the TCG channel, but I'll touch on them briefly here. 771,000 Charizards by PSA in February. 245,000 by CGC, 29,000 by Becca, and SGC 4,000. TCG has just not been their forte. They are the clear number two in sports cards, and just you cannot gain market share in TCG. I know they tried for a while. They ran a pretty aggressive sale a while back. I put up good numbers while they were running that, but as soon as the sale stopped, numbers seem to slow down. So we'll see how they attack that category in 2025. And will be an interesting one to watch with as popular as TCG has been to start the year. Does any of that kind of filter down from them almost as just like an overflow, if nothing else? Most graded sets in the month for PSA, Prism Football number one. Good luck with that, as the gem rates on that set are absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Topps Chrome update coming in the 2 slot, and then a bunch of recent football releases. 2024 Mosaic, 2023 Select, and 2024 Donruss. A little bit more baseball. Then we finally get our first basketball. 2023 Panini Prism. Still hanging on there. I do not expect 2024 Panini Prism to really climb very high on this list, given how bad that checklist is in regards to players to chase. All right, let's swing over and look at the Emergent graders, if you will. Arena Club. Grading is a very loose term here. They are basically just a all-in-one repack company. I've been saying that month over month for a while. They did another 10,000. That's right in line with where they normally sit. Tag down slightly at 18.5. They had been sitting at around 25,000 the last couple of months. HGA, rest in peace. The tag numbers, as always, I do denote a big bulk of that continues to be Pokemon, with 13,000 Pokemon cards graded by tag in February. that number is actually up, even though their total number is down month over month. So with Tag, they've had a lot of stuff going on recently. They appear to be getting slammed with incoming orders. They recently had to change some pricing around their base level tier. They had to up to a 20 card minimum, which got people a little fired up. And then the big 1,000-point scale that is supposed to revolutionize grading had to get jumped to $75 a card, which is crazy. It appears part of the justification on that is because it takes them way more time to grade the cards on the 1,000-point scale. And you gotta love it. The reason why it takes so much time is because humans have to be more involved on a 1,000-point scale, even though I thought that was the whole point. Tag is going to be in a very interesting spot. They're basically a Pokemon only grading company at this point. That seems to be where all their focus and energy is going towards. They still don't do thicker cards. They still don't do anything older. It's still basically modern / ultra modern for the most part for them. Those are promises that they've been, trying to get off the board, or basically promising their customer base for a long time now, that they still have not fulfilled. And like I said, their focus seems to be strictly on Pokemon. That's where all their business is, whether it's through the group submitters or just casual folks sending cards in to get graded. And they are, according to them and according to, discourse on social media, they're getting hammered on the front end right now. And it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this influx in volume. People were preaching, oh, come the Tag, it's cheaper and faster. And now all of a sudden prices are going up and turnaround times sound like they're going to get a lot longer. They could potentially turn off a lot of new customers coming in to try them out that heard these things about them. And then all of a sudden that is not their individual experience. So Tag catching some heat on the Pokemon side of things, but kind of at a crossroads on how they handle the short term, because they could potentially burn a lot of people, and not necessarily like it's their fault. It's just growing pains. And are people willing to put up with that because they were promised this paradise of grading, and it turns out not to be that because they couldn't scale quite fast enough. So something to keep an eye on over there with the tab. I'm sure the Tag bots will be all fired up in the comments below. There's also been some crazy stuff floating around social with slabs cracking open in people's hands and Tag saying that is completely normal. They're designed to do that, which seems crazy to me. But the hardcore Tag bots continue to drink the Kool-Aid, and I'm sure they will be fired up about something if you are not preaching from the gospel of the T1000. So, crazy month as always from grading. Just the numbers keep going absolutely nutso. A lot of it is on the back of TCG right now. And, how does that continue to hold up as we move throughout the year? Especially this first chunk of the year, let's just be honest. The sports card releases right now aren't great. So I think a lot of the volume is going to be coming from TCG. Other than Prism Football, which grades terribly, Baseball 2025, the rookie class is kind of mid. There's not a ton of stuff to rush off to the grading companies there. The basketball class sucks. So there's not really a ton of stuff to rush off to the grading companies there. And it could continue to run that way. 2024 football product will continue to do good, but it could be a lean few months, or I shouldn't say leaner few months than normal in regards to new sports card product driving submissions, because of the weaker draft classes and checklists that are kind of floating around out there. Now, that could spit on a dime, but at least in the short term, I don't know that I see that changing. TCG, on the other hand, is going to continue to drive a lot of grading numbers. That is not slowing down at all, and I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers continue to skew that direction for those companies. So, as always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. Also, feel free to filter in with any grading turnaround times and stuff that you've been seeing. I know PSA is still a little backed up on receiving. I think it's gotten slightly better. I think SGC is slightly backed up on receiving, and I haven't heard anything about CGC, and I don't actually know anyone that sends cards to Beckett. So, catch boys and girls on the next one. Peace.